It has just gone 8 o'clock Central African Time. Good evening and welcome to the news bulletin at 8, brought to you by Eswatini TV. My name is Sunny Boy Ngong alongside Zamanzi Manze. Thank you so much for choosing to stay with us. We're coming to you live from our Hospital Hill studios in Babane, and these are your top stories tonight. The acting Prime Minister Themba Masuku has arrived back home after his visit to Mozambique to attend the SADC Extraordinary Summit, where he was representing His Majesty King Eswatini III. Government has stopped the delivery of petitions to Tinkhundla centers, and the Minister for Tinkhundla has officially handed over a hall and a tractor to the Mhlume constituency. And now the news in detail. The acting Prime Minister Themba Masuku has returned to the kingdom after his visit to Mozambique to attend the SADC Extraordinary Summit, where he was representing His Majesty King Eswatini III. Upon his arrival at Lomahasha border gate and the media briefing, Masuku highlighted resolutions taken by the summit. Our reporter Sonto Mlangeni has more on that story.
The acting Prime Minister Themba Masuku arrived through the Lomahasha border post. When addressing the media, Masuku stated that the summit remembered and honored SADC's fallen heroes, such as former Prime Minister of the Kingdom, Ambrose Manvulo Dlamini, the first President of Zambia, Dr. Kenneth Kaunda, who was among the founding fathers of SADC, and the former and fifth President of Tanzania, Dr. Joseph Magufuli. Masuku stated that the summit approved the mandate for SADC standby force mission to the Republic of Mozambique to be deployed in support of Mozambique to combat terrorism and acts of violence in Cabo Delgado.
Bulala abantu lapho labafana na luhlobo lwabo Boko Haram basuse nje umsindo kepha labahleti khona la kunamsindo khona ngilapha kunalo gas khona lolo bekangathuthukisa agucula umnotho welive leMozambique aphinza agucule neminotho yelive nje sifundzeni ngoba nathi njengelive la kangwane bese nakunekuthula ngale kunemnotho ukhula nawa ngale uyakhula nwakithi ngoba nalala batawu khicida lo gas nathi bekatawu sisita site nemavela khona esifundzeni nakusakhulunywa ke lapho benetincumo lethathwako lengeke ngene kakhulu kudo ngoba i security situation kusho ukuthi nje tindzaba leti leticondzene netekuvikela ngeke wabe soyasho ukuthi bekwenteka naku nanaku kepha nje lengingakusho ngokuthi kufuneka kube nempi yaka SADC rapid response letawukhona ukuthi itosekela impi yakhona eMozambique nekwekuthi ke kutaba kuhle ukuthi sibaside natindzawo nje letinengi ngaso sonke isikhathi tindlu tesifundwa sibasekhathi kunetindlela tekukwenta so uma ngabe sekufika leso sidingo naleso sikhathi kuyabe sesiyathathwa sinqumo ngekulandzela tindlela tokuthatha tinqumo letisebentelana netembi.
Masuku further stated that the summit urged SADC member states and the international community to support the proposal for a temporary waiver of certain provisions of the agreement on trade-related aspects of intellectual property rights, TRIPS, to allow more countries to produce COVID-19 vaccine for more efficient response to the COVID-19 pandemic. For Eswatini TV News, Sondomlangeni with LinkedIn Kule in Lomahasha.
Government has, with immediate effect, stopped the delivery of petitions to Tinkhundla centers. Now, this was said by the acting Prime Minister Themba Masuku during a press briefing on Thursday evening. Our reporter Fortune Langamandla has more on that story.
Since the past few weeks, people have been delivering petitions to their members of parliament in their different constituencies. The acting Prime Minister Themba Masuku says government has suspended petition delivery in constituencies with an immediate effect. He says this is because it is in breach of the Constitution, the Public Order Act of 2017 and the COVID-19 regulations.
This kind of unruly behavior is unacceptable and cannot be allowed to continue without consequence. Our Tinkhundla system as encapsulated in the Constitution, only provides the structures and procedures to be followed when raising concerns at community and constituency level. Delivering petitions is not one of them. It has become apparent that this exercise has created a breeding ground for anarchy and has been intentionally hijacked to sow seeds of division among Eswatini in complete disregard of public safety, the rule of law, and COVID-19 regulations. The full might of the law will take effect to anyone who will continue to ignore the rule of law. There will be zero tolerance for all those who break the Public Order Act and the obtaining COVID-19 regulations.
Masuku says government have seen of late an element who have hijacked these concerns to further their own agenda, mainly to shake the foundations that define this country, with an intention to achieve regime change. He says these protests have degenerated into disorder and violent scenes in several instances, putting the lives of citizens, public and private property in danger. For Eswatini TV News, Fortune Dlangamandla with Mbonga Dube Mbabane.
Moreover, the acting Prime Minister Themba Masuku says government is alive to public concerns of lack of inadequate jobs and service delivery anxieties, among others. Masuku says this is a large global concern. Our reporter Fortune Dlangamandla still reports on that story.
The acting Prime Minister Themba Masuku says government is alive to public concerns of lack of adequate jobs and service delivery. He says these are issues that government has always taken on board, hence it has put in place several strategies and interventions to address them within the constraint of the country's budget.
And engagement. Government is committed to enhancing service delivery efforts which have been derailed since last year with the advent of the COVID-19 pandemic. We continue to see through job creation projects in line with government strategic plan and roadmap and the post-COVID-19 economic recovery plan, and we are already seeing some positive results in the midst of global challenges, with over 18,000 jobs created since 2018. We are forging ahead with a number of service delivery projects such as fixing our road infrastructure, provision of water and electricity to communities, and facilitating the creation of more jobs and entrepreneurial opportunities, especially for our youth, in full collaboration with the private sector.
On the shortage of drugs reported in health facilities, Masuku emphasizes to the public that these shortages spread across the region and continent and are due to a limited supply of drugs from manufacturers who were severely affected by the global restriction imposed to contain the spread of COVID-19. For Eswatini TV News, Fortune Dlangamandla with Mbonga Dube Mbabane.
The Minister of Tingunda, David Ngampalala, has officially handed over a hall at Mhlume High School and a tractor at Mafucula under the Mhlume constituency. The Minister says over 7 million has been spent to improve the Mhlume community.
The Minister of Tingunda, David Ngampalala, has handed over a hall at Mhlume High School that cost about 2.1 million emalangeni and a tractor at Mafucula for a Eswatini organized group that cost about 850 emalangeni. The minister says the Regional Development Fund was His Majesty's the third vision of improving the communities in the country. The minister says over 7 million emalangeni has been used to improve the people of Mhlume constituency over the years.
Kungokuqala lapha sibona khona inhlangano yabomake bodwa labasukume bakhwica bathi bona ngalesikhwama sembube emhlaba.
Siphosini Mazibuko Mhlume High School principal says the school was in deep need for a school hall, hence they are very grateful.
Because we have large numbers in the school and the hall that we're using was very small. It couldn't accommodate all the children, especially during, exams times. So we actually needed this hall. It was very useful last year, especially where the students were writing exams under, very strict conditions.
Eswatini organized group chairperson Temsile Mlangeni says the tractor is expected to make at least 500,000 per year. Mlangeni says the tractor will be used to transport river sand among other things.
Mage bakmafucula siyamangala nanamusha nakathi umhlabeleli uvula lapho bavale khona.
Mhlume member of parliament Victor Malambe expressed their gratitude to the ministry. Malambe encouraged other people under the constituency to join hands and start businesses. He says that way members of the community will also create jobs for other people.
Mangabe nisetawufuna kusilusito kuloko khohlwana. Naningethi nalo project yema. Basukume labo ma.
Lubombo Regional Secretary Jane Mkhonda Smelane, speaking on behalf of the Lubombo Regional Administrator Themba Msibi, expressed her gratitude to the ministry and also appreciated the initiative done by the ministry of supporting an organization by women only. Reporting is Tembelihle Makucha with Themba Shabangu at Mafucula.
Eswatini Sugar Association has donated PPEs worth 512,600 Malangeni for the Lubombo region schools. The donated PPEs were received by the Minister of Education, Lady Howard, at Stegi. Eswatini TV's Tembelihle Makucha has more on that story.
On Thursday, Eswatini Sugar Association donated PPEs to 15 different schools in the Lubombo region. The association's Chief Executive Officer, Dr. Phil Mnisi, says the sugar belt and general operations of the sugar industry are based in the Lubombo region, which is why they felt it appropriate to lend a helping hand to schools and communities within the region.
Our children have not been spared as they have had to return to schools under strict COVID-19 guidelines. Honourable Minister, it is in this regard that Eswatini Sugar Association proactively saw it fit to contribute towards enhancing safety measures for children at schools in the Lubombo region.
The Minister of Education, Lady Howard Mabuza, expressed her gratitude to the association. The minister assured the association that the donation will make a tremendous impact at the selected schools.
Thank you very much for your support in getting these PPEs into the hands of my learners at a time when they are most needed. It is humbling to note that out of all the stakeholders of Eswatini Sugar Association, education took precedence. This indicates that Eswatini Sugar Association values education as a future investment. We are hopeful that our learners will grow up to impact the sugar industry in a positive way. As a ministry, we note the care, support and commitment your association has towards sustaining education in this region.
According to the Ministry of Health's report on Wednesday, the country recorded 44 new COVID-19 positive cases. Reporting is Tembelihle Makucha with Themba Shabangu at Stegi.
Cases of sexual violence against children in churches from ages 0 to 17 years old from 2019 to date are increasing. This was confirmed by Lydia Dlamini, who was representing National Commissioner William Dlamini during the Faith and Community Initiative Project for Prevention of Sexual Violence Against Children held at the Spine Lodge in Matsapa.
The National Indaba was aimed at addressing issues of sexual violence against women and children, which seem to be on the rise in the country from 2019 to date. Lydia Dlamini, who was representing National Commissioner William Dlamini, says the significance of the Indaba is to emphasize the need for the church to be considered as a safe haven for all in society, in particular the vulnerable groups, that is women and children.
ku-0 noma ngithi umntwana wangahlanisa umnyaka kuya kumntwana lona 17 nga-2019 sibene macala lapotiwe ngoba lamanye akapoda lapotiwe langu-563 kwathi nga-2020 saba na-646.
Dlamini further appealed to churches to work closely with the police and report any form of violence in order to minimize the escalating number of sexual violence against women and children, especially in churches. Dlamini also says the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic has left the nation scathed with cases of abuse and violence in the domestic setting. For Eswatini TV News, Zodwa Dlamini, pictures sourced from the Real Eswatini Police Service.
Handling of finances at Ngonjwa High School has led to the Public Accounts Committee to recommend that the Ministry of Education and Training organize refresher courses for head teachers on bookkeeping. In this school, the Auditor General had found that over 800,000 Malangin was deposited into the school's account, but there were no receipts.
The Auditor General's report states that the amount of over 800,000 Malangeni was collected by the school, but there were no receipts issued for it. The AG's report also states that some bank slips were not received by the school, but they were kept in a folder. Other audit queries include payment vouchers with missing checks totaling to over 30,000 Malangeni. Still on checks, the AG found 39 cancelled checks, which he says were a cost to the school. Head teacher Victor Hlope has explained to the Public Accounts Committee about the cancelled checks, which are in a sequence.
Noma kwashaya lithonsi no something kule checkbook nangicabanga nakwenteka ngoba it's not actually ukuthi bengalandzekana kanje sengingacabanga kanjalo ukuthi ngoba khona leke ngonakalela ngeke insetha yofulela kusami ayikuthi kanjani but nje ngicabanga lokho ukuthi kwakungeke alandzelane kangaka lamashela.
The PAC then asked school committee chairman whether what the head teacher said was true. The school was also found to have charged top-up fees amounting to over 266,000 Malangeni. This was done without the ministry's authority. For Eswatini TV News, Temgosi Mavimbela, Parliament.
The Ministry of Agriculture has met with sweet potato farmers with an intention to determine which orange-fleshed sweet potato varieties are to be grown in the country. The National Project Coordinator from the Malkans Research Center under the Ministry of Agriculture, Ncomio Mapalala, says they are testing about 10 different sweet potato varieties on the research lab.
The orange-fleshed sweet potato varieties which are being tested are from Mozambique. Eswatini hopes to determine which varieties will be grown in the country. The Ministry of Agriculture has met with sweet potato farmers from 3 regions, which are Shiselweni, Lubombo, as well as Manzini. The orange-fleshed sweet potato varieties cannot be grown in the Hoho region because of the weather conditions. Ncomio Mapalala, who is the National Project Coordinator from the Malkans Research Center under the Ministry of Agriculture, says the orange-fleshed sweet potato varieties which will be grown in the country will be approved by the Variety Release Committee.
Injongo yalomsebenzi wethu ke ukuthi sine as i-research sikhona ukukhicita emacembe latawuphasa.
She says it can only be then when farmers countrywide can grow the sweet potato. She continued to add that they are collaborating with Mozambican company called CIP and Eswatini. Manzini Senior Extension Officer Mazwi Dlamini says the new sweet potato varieties comes with vitamin H, which is not found in other varieties of sweet potatoes.
Lokukhona kibo lokuhlukile lebesingakujwayeli lokusithako lesithi vitamin A ngikho nje bamthobi goje so siyaba introduce la kaNgwane.
Inkinga tethu ke ngoba siyalima sibuye emakhaya njalo nje sichamuke egebeni sichamuke empini sichamuke endondozi nalaba.
Samson Taylor speaks on behalf of farmers who attended the sweet potato field day. Taylor speaks on difficulties faced by sweet potato farmers. He says farmers are struggling to fence their fields. He adds that during the winter season, the sweet potato are destroyed by livestock. China is the world's biggest producer and consumer of sweet potato, where it is used for food, animal feed, and processing. For Eswatini TV News, Fortune Dlangamandla, visuals are sourced from the Ministry of Agriculture.
To respond to trade challenges caused by the COVID-19 pandemic, the Eswatini Investment Promotion Authority, APA, has collaborated with Taiwan Trade, shortly TITRA, to introduce business-to-business programs that will link local businesses with Taiwanese suppliers. This was said by APA's Domestic Trade Promotion Manager, Spesihle Ngabinze.
In response to the trade challenges caused by COVID-19, in collaboration with Taiwan Trade, TITRA, the Eswatini Investment Promotion Authority, APA, has introduced a business-to-business program to link local businesses with Taiwanese suppliers. APA's Domestic Trade Promotion Manager, Spesihle Ngabinze, says this is an opportunity for local businesses to import supplies that will develop their businesses.
So we have this opportunity for local businesses to partner with suppliers from Taiwan in terms of sourcing of automotive parts, consumables and machinery, and the ICT products. The first session will begin on the 29th of June to the 30th of June, where we'll be talking to companies who are supplying automotive consumables and machinery products for businesses. Then on the 1st of July, it's an ICT specific business-to-business interaction where companies can register with TITRA and obtain a slot for participating in these business-to-business sessions scheduled for these dates as I've mentioned.
Ngabinze further highlighted that the deadline for interested businesses to submit their forms is on the 25th of June, which is on Friday. He says interested businesses can call +2711 2682 017 or get a registration form at https://jobac.taiwan.com. Under the program, local businesses will also interact with entrepreneurs from Mozambique and South Africa. To improve trade in Africa in 2018, African countries signed an African Continental Free Trade Agreement. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, I am Samgal Suekoza with Muzim Konta in Manzini.
Well, Eswatini, now let's take a look at our financial report. Welcome back. Now we take a look at news making headlines in the world of sports. The High Court has postponed a matter in which Zinyane Football Club and 9 other teams under the Horo Football Association seek an order to stop the Eswatini Football Association from proceeding with executive committee elections pending FIFA intervention. The case is before Judge Mzwandile Fagutse.
Zinyane Football Club and 9 other teams under the Horo Football Association have filed an urgent application seeking an order interdicting and restraining the Football Association from proceeding with the elections of the EFA Executive Committee pending the intervention of FIFA, or that the court direct the Football Association to conduct their elections in accordance with the strict provisions of the statutes and electoral code. The teams are alleging that the General Assembly is improperly composed and elections they are conducting in contravention of the EFA statutes and electoral code. The teams quoted Article 10 of the FA Statute, where a section of it mentioned that teams have the right to nominate and vote in the elections for the executive members. The team also quoted Articles 23 and 24 to support their application. The judge, Mswadile Fagote, wanted to know why they had to wait for this long before they filed the application. Stu Mtlatla, representing the Football Association, says the problem is not with the Football Association, but with the Hoho Association, as they are the one affiliated to. The judge then met with the lawyers in his chambers, where after a short deliberation, said the matter will continue tomorrow. Reporting for Eswatini TV Sports News, I am Patizo MCB, Mpabane.
Well, Eswatini, that brings us to the end of our news bulletin at 8 at Eswatini TV. But before we go, here's a quick reminder of your top stories tonight. The acting Prime Minister Themba Masuku has arrived back home after his visit to Mozambique to attend the SADC Extraordinary Summit, where he was representing His Majesty King Mswati III. Government has stopped the delivery of petitions to Tingundla centers, and the Minister for Tingundla has officially handed over a hall and a tractor to the Mhlume constituency. Beautiful Kingdom of Eswatini. That brings us to the conclusion of our news bulletin at 8 here at Eswatini TV. Thank you so much for choosing to stay with us. We shall cross over to the Weather Center for a detailed weather report from us and the rest of the transmission crew at Eswatini TV. For now, it's good night and God bless.
Everywhere you go, MTN.